Welcome into another edition of our Cubs Recap Podcast, a presentation of our Recap YouTube channel, and available audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcasts. That's my partner, Gordon Wittenmeyer, my sparring partner. I'm David Kaplan. Cubs make their first significant move of the offseason, getting Eli Morgan, who pitched high leverage in the playoffs for the Guardians, you hater, and they signed Matthew Boyd, 2-year deal, $29 million. Thoughts?
They better freaking get Sasaki. They better get him because this ain't cutting it. Are you kidding me? You come off back-to-back 83 win seasons.
I didn't know the season started December 4th.
You're the guy that's been out there screaming from the mountaintops to go get frontline players, including frontline.
Yeah, I want my bullpen fixed. And my guy, John Morosi, said the Cubs have been the most active team in baseball on high-end relievers in the trade market and in free agency.
Yeah, let me see what they put on the roster here.
Eli Morgan.
Yeah, I don't see those frontline guys on the roster. Let's see what
Again,
happens.
it's December 3rd.
Be active talking all you want. They're pretty good damn talkers. Let's see what they do. You want my thoughts?
I don't disagree. And I, as my partner said, boy, you're awfully calm here on December 3rd. And I said, the season doesn't start tomorrow, December 4th.
Said that all last winter.
And he said, if they don't get something substantial done, Mount Kaplan is going to blow. And I said,
absolutely.
Deservedly so. Absolutely. So I will give them time. We've got the winter meetings. You will be there. We will connect from there on our next podcast. Let's see what happens.
Where's our guy, Jet? He's supposed to be here for one of these podcasts.
He said after the winter meetings, he'll be here.
And my ass. Let's get him answering some of these questions. I'm going to be at the winter meetings. I'll track him down.
That will be amazing.
I'll ask him. I'll put him on camera. I'll ask him.
We'll figure out a morning. I've got a little time off toward the end of the year. We'll get him in here on his way to Wrigley. He lives up in the suburbs here. And we'll bring him into the studios right here. And we'll sit him down, and away we go.
What are we going to do? Kidnap him on his way past us on the highway?
Pretty much. Whatever it takes.
Have to do.
Whatever it takes. Okay, let's start with the Matthew Boyd signing.
Yeah.
Do you like it? For me, you know what it is? He's 2024 version of Drew Smiley.
Yeah, I mean, I like it if it's depth and you've done something else like Max Fried, but you haven't done that. You've added a lefty to a rotation mix that has enough of them already. And you paid what, $14 million a year for him, 14 plus a year for him. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe they know something, right? In their scouting particulars that they think they're going to do something with him in the pitch lab. We'll find out. But I mean, right now he's just a depth guy, and I was kind of where you were on this, especially if you're going to spend in the neighborhood of $15 million on a guy. Go get somebody who maybe is a little of a slam dunk to be more toward the middle of your rotation. Mm-hmm. I'm completely a shrug on this. It doesn't impress me. You're the Chicago freaking Cubs. How many times we got to say that?
I get it, but it's one move on December the 3rd here.
So go get Sasaki. That's all I can say. I mean, if this is part of that equation and you get that done, then terrific. But we'll see. I mean, I like to think that they've had success in the past with at least making very appealing pitches to these guys. Supposedly they made a very appealing pitch to Ohtani years ago, and they came up short on that. And this is similar to that because there's not going to be a significant amount of money difference.
Well, they've had good luck with Japanese players. Even when they traded Darvish, he told Imanaga and Seiya Suzuki, loved it there, you should go there. And they did.
Yeah, so we'll see if that pays off, and we'll see if the free agent pitch they make to him pays off. But if it doesn't, then they've got a lot of rallying to do if it doesn't, and probably a lot of spending to do to make the roster the kind of roster that's going to be better.
Now, there's a lot of rumor and chatter in the industry going into the winter meetings in Dallas, which again are next week, and you'll be there. that the Cubs are going to get a deal done to move Cody Bellinger. Do you think if they do that they would be able to get someone to take all the money, or do they eat some of the money to move him and then get a better player back?
You've got to give up a lot of prospect capital to get somebody to take all of that money because it's an overpay. We've talked about that. We know it. It's potentially an overpay by a lot. If he's the player he was in 2024, it's way too much money, especially when you count the buyout on the last opt-out. So that puts him at north of $30 million. So what they're probably going to have to do to move him is pick up a good chunk of that, maybe half or more of it.
But it's still a sunk cost that you owe. And so if you are able to get someone to take him and you go, I'll pay half the money, I'm getting a pretty decent player back, I would think.
Maybe. Maybe. Because you're still paying. What would, put it this way, what do you think Bellinger's market value be if he's on the free agent market right now? I mean,
he'd get a pretty solid contract.
So what do you think? He'd get 3-4 years? You think he'd get more than that?
I think he'd get a 3-year deal.
3-year deal. What do you think it'd be worth?
75.
75. 3 and 6. 25 a year.
Yeah. Maybe 20 a year.
Maybe closer to 20. So 60 million. And let's give him 4 plus an option because he's not an old guy. 80 buyout on the option, 85-90 million. Okay. So now you're talking a roughly a $20 million player who somebody's going to have to pick up 30 plus million on if you count the buyout on the opt-out. So you're going to pay half. So they're going to pay 15 for a $20 million player. So it's a $5 million cost to them to pick up this guy. How much player capital you think you're getting back? If you're the Cubs, what you're trying to do is free up enough money, right? And what this would do is basically free up your Matt Boyd money. It would cover that.
Well, it would also allow you,
give you a position to try to go after.
Correct. That's the thing.
And so free up some money for that. I don't know that you get that.
I just don't. You got to go get a right fielder then. Who's your right fielder? Well, they want Seiya to be their DH.
It's your so-called Japanese Gold Glove guy.
They don't want him out there.
No kidding.
Right. So let's assume he stays in the DH role. Do you go sign Santander? Do you acquire someone in a trade?
Well, see, now you're talking about real expensive guys again. And now your sunk cost isn't a sunk cost anymore. It's a new cost. It's quite a bit of a new cost. If you treat Bellinger like a sunk cost, then you can keep him, and here you get this, whatever your base level of performance you can expect out of him as a left-handed bat, as a plus defender. You got to get better than that. If you're going to trade him and then wind up spending more money net, you have to do better than that. And if you're talking about going out and getting Santander or somebody else that's a free agent, that's a desirable free agent, you're talking about now you're spending significantly more beyond that because you picked up.
But I'm willing, this is me, of course, I'm willing to spend significantly more if I'm getting significantly more production than I got from Cody Bellinger in 2024, where he was just an okay player.
Yeah, go spend the money. If like what you're saying is, I'm willing to go spend a bunch of money to make this team a bunch better.
Well, because I believe if they don't go to the playoffs, much as I like Jed, I think he's a great dude, he's probably going to lose his job.
So go get the frontline pitcher. And if it's not Sasaki, go pay for somebody. If you're going to flex
but your owner has to let you do that.
There you go. So now we're back to that. And now we're back to why they have Boyd and why they have who's this catcher they got?
Matt Face.
Yeah, I mean,
from the Angels.
This is why you're doing things closer to the margins than at the front end of the market. So we're right back to that. That's why I don't have a lot of faith. I don't have a lot of faith at this point based on the pattern I've seen.
Well, I just made a wager. I like to wager. Yeah. I made a wager with you and Ryan McGuffey, the senior VP of content here at the Recap. I'm telling you the Cubs are winning the division. So the wager is I either take you guys to dinner. You can eat and drink whatever you want, pick the place, I'll pay for it. But if they win the division, you two jokers are taking me where I want to go.
I'll get you that Kentucky Fried Chicken bowl with corn in it and stuff that you love so much.
We're going way bigger than that.
You ain't winning the damn division. I'll take that bet all day long.
They're winning the 25 division.
Really?
Yes.
Because you say so.
Because
you think
I also told you
going to go away.
You don't remember this. We were standing outside the Under Armour Performance Center. True story. And it was before the 2016 season. And I said to Gordon and Mark Gonzalez and a few others, book it. I'm writing a book called The Plan. They're winning the World Series. And you looked at me and said, 108 years and everything's going to be different with your team. And they did.
You've said similar things along the way and been dead wrong. You just say this is what's in your heart. And besides, they were the betting favorite in Vegas that year, too.
I have
way to go out on a limb, pal.
I had never said that they would win the World Series other than that year. Never.
All right, whatever. 8th inning in Game 7, you didn't think so much.
I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was not happy.
Yeah, you went back on that.
Okay, I want to switch to something else. Rob Manfred, your guy, the commissioner of Major League Baseball. I'm not a huge fan.
The guy that runs from me every time I try to talk about something.
He is considering something called the golden batter?
Golden shower or something like that.
Oh, my God. This guy, man.
I don't know, something like that.
The golden batter, right?
Batter?
Is that what they call it, Ryan?
Yep.
The golden batter, where once a game, you have the bases loaded in the 9th. You can take anybody that's already batted. Aaron Judge of the Yankees ends the 8th inning and he's not up. 2 outs in the 9th that the base is loaded, and you can go, Aaron, you can bat again. You get to do that once a game.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Well, I mean, let's set the stage a little more than that. Manfred said it's in the discussion stages only, and a lot of this stuff, how it would exactly work, is anything but certain. That's all to be determined if it ever comes to fruition at all. It is interesting that he brought it up unsolicited. This wasn't something that somebody asked him about. So he's floating this. So I do think it's at least possible. And do I like it? I think it's fascinating, and I hate it. I think I get it. I get why.
They call it the golden at bat.
Yeah, there you go. The idea
you could
is
swap a team, their best hitter for any plate appearance once per game.
The idea is to put the result of the game late in the hands of your best players, the way football and basketball does. I get that. But even in those cases, you're talking about the chances of success being essentially 1 in 3 for your best player, maybe 1 in 4 if it's about getting on base or something. And so it's still different than those other sports, and you still only get to do it once. How you would do it, I don't know. And the other thing is, like, the first thing reading about this that made me think of, the first thing I thought of was Bucky fucking Dent. That never happens.
Correct.
If this is the case.
Correct, because they would never have had him be the hitter. The same thing as Rajai Davis.
That was the second one I thought of.
He never. The then Indians are never letting him bat against Chapman.
No, and Chapman,
they're probably going to Lindor or Ramirez.
Given up a run scoring double, which drove in Ramirez
to Brandon Guyer.
So in theory, you could have brought
Cub,
Ramirez,
by the way,
right back in after scoring.
You could have
to take the next at bat.
Jose, you're up again. What?
Right, or Lindor.
Do you like it?
That idea? Now, because here's the thing. So you do that. You mess with the way the game's played. You mess with the rules of the game in a very, very fundamental way. And then it doesn't work. I mean, most of the time, it's still not going to work. And when it does, then what? Like we had a case that the World Baseball Classic came down to the U.S. versus Japan. And it was the last World Baseball Classic was the most watched. It was the most interesting. Even me as a baseball writer, I didn't pay a lot of attention to the previous ones. I paid a ton of attention to this one. And when it came down to the last game and what was it? 3-2 game or something like that. It was Shohei Ohtani against Mike Trout with the game on the line with 2 outs in the 9th. That was phenomenal.
Great theater.
And it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered what the result was, but it was still phenomenal, no matter how it ended at that point. And the fact that that happened organically, because that's the way baseball is set up, is what made that so amazing. If in a case like that, somebody else is due up, now in that case, you got mostly starters anyway, but somebody else, and you want to bring up Mike Trout to create that, it feels choreographed, it feels trite, obviously contrived, because that's what it is. But
it would be amazing theater if you're sitting there watching and you're like, oh God, here comes Aaron Judge in Game 7 with the bases loaded.
Yeah, what do we love about sports, right? It's that
randomness,
the randomness, and that things can happen that we've never seen before, and it makes us jump from our seats, and it's in the athleticness of it all. It's just, those are the things that awe us. If you can manipulate that, if you can manipulate these moments into that, so to me, it's not like putting the game in Patrick Mahomes' hand down the stretch. It's like putting Patrick Mahomes on the 1 yard line every game. Correct. When he's down by a touchdown. No, just play the game. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think, look, trying to speed the game up a little bit, I'm good with it. That's fine. But either you love baseball or you don't love baseball. Yeah. I don't think my kids are going to go, oh, wow, they shaved 15 minutes off the game. Now I'm in. No.
Yeah, right. Now that said, the pace, the pace rules that they put into place, I love the fact the pitchers are throwing the ball quicker. To me, that should have happened organically. To me, the idea of taking 30, 40, 50 seconds between pitches sometimes was agonizing.
Yeah, like watching, remember Steve Traxel?
Unnecessary.
Horrible.
Just unnecessary.
A great guy, way too slow.
Get the ball and throw the ball. But I will say this, this is it's not really surprising if you break it down and think about it, that this Golden Arches thing would even come up, because it's kind of a natural progression. If you put this rule into place, it eases some of the roster pressures we're already seeing that's created by the need to have so many pitchers. I mean, they've extended the roster by 1 to 26, and then they had to limit how many spots of those you could use for pitchers, half of them. So this would alleviate like some of the pressures of your bench, right? Because you could bring somebody else in. I mean, it's a fascinating concept, because in theory, if you needed let's say you needed a run or two, it's the bottom of the 9th inning, and let's say Bryce Harper's due up against a right-hander. Second, let's say he's due up second. Could you bat him first and second?
That's an amazing question. I never thought of it that way. So you're like, all right, we're going to intentionally walk Harper. Oh, God, here he comes again.
Comes Harper again. And then what do you do also? What do you allow for pitchers? Does that eliminate the 3-batter minimum for a pitcher if they employ the rule to put?
There's so much that has to be worked out.
So all that has to be worked out. And then from a Cubs standpoint, I tell you what, the Cubs as they're built right now probably want no part of this rule.
Yeah, because they don't have a guy on the roster where you go, that son of a bitch, I don't want to face him. You're like, yeah, maybe.
I mean, like it really puts a premium on stars, right? Because Philly's in a great position. The Dodgers, the Yankees, they're in great
you're going to go with a righty? Hey, Schwarber, you're up again. Lefty, Castellanos, Harper against the righty. It's like,
I mean, last year, well, even going into next season, the Brewers are in better position between Yelich if he's healthy and playing well, or Contreras if he's hitting well. I mean, either one of those guys.
Slow down, Sparky. They're losing Willie Adames.
I'm saying the guys they have coming back.
Yeah, they're not in a better position than the Cubs.
They're in a better position for the rule.
No.
Oh, give me a.
Yelich is coming off back surgery.
I'm saying
Adames is probably going to be a Yankee, it sounds like.
Okay, well, let's put it this way. They're in no better position than anybody else in the division.
Who, the Cubs?
The Cubs, when it comes to the rule.
No, they're all a bunch of mishmash. I mean, There's nobody in that division that you go, God.
And then it depends. Like you look throughout history, like what would you have done with the Bucky Dent situation? 1978.
I know where I was watching it.
Right. And so he comes up with 2 outs and 2 on, down by 2. So
and it was what, the 8th inning or the 7th?
It was the 7th inning.
Yeah.
So let's say you're going to employ it there. Let's just say you're going to employ it. You probably are, because I don't think you've scored until that inning.
You have 2 men on.
You got 2 men on. So now, I'm looking at my notes here. Right-hander on the mound, Mike Torres, and Bucky Dent's your 9 hitter. So you bring up Reggie Jackson. You bring Reggie Jackson in. He's due up.
Chris Chambliss.
Chris Chambliss is on base.
Was Munson still alive at this point?
Munson was, I believe, on deck. No, he might have been on base too. He was in the mix there. He had batted that inning, I think. But
what happens if you had a guy on base that you had to use a pinch runner because you're taking him off the bases to hit again?
Like, let's say that Reggie's having a bad season or something. Let's just say that it's not a good matchup. Now, in that game, I looked it up. He's all-time strikeout leader. He didn't strike out in that game in 4 plate appearances. Maybe you bring him up for the Lightning. If you don't, maybe you bring up Chambliss, who's on base. So now what do? Does Bucky Dent go out there and Chambliss comes? Does Bucky Dent take his spot on a base?
And if I use somebody off the bench to pinch run so I can get my hitter back, do I lose that guy for the rest of the game?
And remember also, this is
a lot to talk about.
This is Fenway Park. So even though you got a right-hander on the mound, you got a right-hander at the plate. If he can get the ball in the air to left field,
it's off the monster at least.
It's at least off the monster. So all these things kind of come into play. How about this? 1960, Bill Mazeroski, 9-9, bottom of the 9th inning. Mazeroski's probably not in the Hall of Fame without that home run.
Correct.
And there's no way in hell he bats.
They would not have let him hit.
Now, he was leading off the inning with the pitcher spot behind him. But if you're thinking, it's 9-9, you're scoring a bunch of runs in this game. I maybe try to, we got the top of the order coming up. I maybe employ something here. So who would it be?
It's a crazy scenario.
Dick Groat, Roberto Clemente, they're in play. Groat was the MVP that year. Clemente, come on, is Clemente?
Is Dick Groat still alive?
I don't know.
I don't think he is. Great story was allegedly Angie Dickinson.
Oh, I know this story.
Had like different guys, but none on the same team that she was dating. Like she wouldn't have 2 Cardinals or 2 Cubs, but only one.
One of each, yeah. There were some
when he was 19 years old, she scoped out a guy playing for the Cubs at the Dodgers, Ronald Santo. Yeah. And one of the Cubs, Ernie Banks, said to me, we didn't see Ronnie for 4 days, except he'd show up right before first pitch, play, and he was gone again. He was with her. And I think Dick Groat dated her for a while.
Yeah, there was I can't remember if Groat was the one or not.
Policewoman, Angie Dickinson.
Yeah, but there was a guy that got traded and thought that he was still her guy.
That was Dick Groat.
Yeah, but when he got traded, he wasn't her guy anymore.
Yeah, because she had another guy on the team.
Another guy on that team.
He got off the team plane, saw the limo waiting. He goes, hey, baby, you found out I got traded? She's like, what are you doing here? I got traded to this team. And it was the Cardinals. And she said, he goes, let's go. She said, sorry, on this team, Stan's the man.
Yeah, I didn't want to say who it was, but yeah.
He's deceased.
Yeah,
he's having a laugh upstairs.
He's the man in more ways than one.
Yes, that was it. All right, you're going to be at the winter meetings next week. Yeah. I expect a lot of Cubs news.
Yeah, good luck with that. They just finished off their roster, didn't they?
No.
Come on.
There's plenty to do.
And
maybe Pete Fairbanks. What about Pete Fairbanks? The closer from the Rays. He's on the market.
Yeah, all right.
Let's go get him. He had 25 saves.
Go get Sasaki, and I'll give you your due on this.
Let's get it done. All right, and you and I will record from there next week.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Maybe I'll abduct Jed in the hallway and get him on the.
Tell him he's got to come here to the studio.
Right here.
All right. For Gordon, Cap, next up is an episode next week. Gordon will be at the winter meetings in Dallas. I'll be right here in our studios. We'll see what the Cubbies do.
And if you're watching,
Yeah. You folks at Celsius,
we love you.
We love you. We got the whole refrigerator stocked.
Friend of the podcast right here.
You should be a sponsor of the podcast.
That's what we're saying.
For Gordon, for our great crew here at the Recap, I'm Cap. Take that.